Yeah, it's not super creepy. It doesn't look at all like you're in a cave.
Gives me an epic sort of feel, I think.
Yeah. And we're on.
Yes, we are. Oh, look at your headset.
Oh, yeah, I'm all fancy.
Yeah, all right.
It almost looks professional.
Well, or overdone. We're interrupting your Overwatch game for this, is what it looks like.
That's right. I've been ramping up. I'm all ready.
Thanks for having me back.
It's good to have you. We missed you last week.
What did I miss?
Oh, all kinds of stuff. Actually, we got our first ever voice message.
What does that mean?
I use Anchor to host the podcast, and in the show notes on several different platforms, they include a link, and you can click on it, and you can leave us an actual message. And
really?
I get it. Yes.
That sounds like a bad idea.
Well, I can pick whether or not we share them.
Okay, well, as well you should.
And so the first one, we actually got one last week that I did not share. It was just some guy who I have a feeling
was his name Fork?
No, but I have him blocked.
Okay,
I can't leave messages. It's not even a feature, but I figured out how to do it.
Nice, yeah. For him, you'll go the extra mile.
Now, we had some guy who obviously has a podcast on Anchor, and he must have sent messages to everybody he could find saying, I think your podcast is really cool. Maybe you could share a link to mine on yours. So I ignored him.
Fair.
Because clearly he was full of crap. And then this week we got one from Huey, from Mike Donahue. And he was I will drop it in because I will include it so people can hear it. But he talks about our wonderful discussion about Mike Montgomery last week.
Okay.
And how I brought up something that a lot of people had forgotten, which was the Cubs comeback in Game 4 against the Giants was due, not largely, but a significant factor was Montgomery in Game 3 coming in out of the bullpen and pitching until like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
Basically wearing out the Giants bullpen.
I had forgotten about that, yes.
So at Huey. And then the other thing he wanted to compliment us on was I recommended that if Albert's hat's going to fall off all the time because of his hair, that he has to wear a chin strap.
Yep. Yeah. Totally agree.
Those were the two things. So people will hear that. I will drop that in.
Okay. Sounds good.
So that's very exciting. So
yeah, boy, that Game 3 did go forever, didn't it?
Yes. They had flashbacks of it. No, flashbacks of Game 4 last night when they had the huge 2-run rally that event didn't really pan out. But still,
it's hard to believe that it was only 4 years ago, and in the meantime, Brandon Crawford and Buster Posey have died. It happened so fast. You just don't believe it.
So I don't know. I don't want to presume that you were watching last night.
I was.
So right before Buster got hit by Cishek.
Right.
Caratini scoots way inside because they want to get the pitch inside. And he's been sitting, 2,000 miles away on my chair. I was like, holy shit, because I don't think there's any way Cishek can hit the glove without it going through the batter from that angle. I'm like, why would you set up there? And I wouldn't trust Buster right in the leg.
I wouldn't trust Cishek to hit anything on the glove side of the plate. It's just not his game.
Well, maybe Victor said he misses by 2 feet, so I'll set up way in, and it'll be a strike.
I still maintain Cishek's 2.4 ERA. That's a massive conspiracy because whenever I look up and he's in the game, he's giving up something.
Well, I think he's on a one-man crusade to prove that ERA is a worthless stat.
I think they've just decided. No matter when he's like on the website and on TV, we're just gonna flash a 2.41 ERA, and it's actually like 5. But they've just decided no one will notice.
Yeah. Maybe there's an elaborate formula, and they just round down for him.
Yes, round down by
actually
like 5.
6, which rounds down to 2.7.
Rounds to 2. Yeah, we round to our nearest 2.41. Well, since we're on the topic of Cishek, and the overarching subject. This is probably the last time we'll talk before the Cubs make a trade. The deadline is a week from today.
Yeah.
But by the time we get around to this, it'll be over.
It'll be April 15th.
So I've been doing some hard thinking, and if you came to me and said the Cubs can get 1 bat and 1 bullpen arm or just 2 bullpen arms, I think I'd have to opt for the 2 bullpen arms.
Well, they certainly need them.
I don't think they have enough to get 3 things. I mean, like, they basically have lottery tickets to trade.
Well, they could get 3 bad things.
They could get 3 bad things. Yes.
They get 8 bad things.
They could get 10 bad things. Yeah. But I don't know. Like, this will probably fold into the Ian Happ discussion you want to have, or I want to have. But I like Nick Castellanos. I like Yasiel Puig. But I going through this weekend, and actually the bullpen, other than Strop, was pretty good this series. I'm not even mad at Brad Brock. He threw a pitch that was a foot off the ground.
Yeah. Well, and we figured out today why he was still in.
Right.
And that was that. Here I was hoping Madden wasn't using Tyler because he had just finally decided Tyler sucked. But obviously they knew I think the first sign should have been that Hendricks pinch hit in an emergency. Although that was just a ridiculous move. I know Martin Maldonado sucks, but are you really worried about burning him?
Right.
Instead of Lester. That's a spot where and somebody's like, well, he's going to pitch tomorrow. It's like, I don't think it's that exhausting.
I don't think it's that tiring. Yeah.
But then when he missed today's start because he was sick, then it made sense why he didn't pinch hit and why Chatwood didn't pitch last night.
I found Chatwood's start today even more infuriating because he comes in and he throws 97 for 4 innings. Okay, it's not a very good lineup, but whatever. And he was good. And if the concern with Chatwood is his control, well, that's not going to get better pitching twice a month. And I understand being gun shy, and I understand apprehensive because we've been through the Chatwood starts, but he's your multi-inning weapon out there. He's the only one now that Montgomery's gone. And Montgomery wasn't any good, so he wasn't anyone.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think how,
they're kind of dull weapons.
The difference is probably only a game or two, but I know there have been games where it's like, you know what, we can just have Chatwood throw 3 innings here, and we'll save 2 arms from having to go today. And that one win, those 2 wins, that could matter.
Oh, it's not like it was a big deal last year. Oh, wait, it was.
Right. So, I mean, I know Chatwood had some rough outings, but for the most part, I think he's been all right. And you're asking him to come out. You're asking him at most to go once through a lineup. And he's throwing 97. He's got a good curveball. He had a good changeup today. This has to be a way you can minimize the exposure of all your bad bullpen pitchers, and it has been all year. And Joe's, and I hate to criticize your guy because I really do think he's managing the hell out of the team.
Right. He's not immune from criticism.
Right. But this is like, he's so push button when it comes to the bullpen usage. Like, okay, I'm not saying Tyler Chatwood is Josh Hader, but he is someone you can use to shield what is still the weakest part of your team. And watching him today, and I thought he was very good today. You got about 70 pitches out of him at 97 miles an hour. It's just I hope that turns on a light and he gets used that way more often. Because if you're asking him to throw 3 innings, he can throw 3 innings twice in a week. Why couldn't he?
You would think, yeah.
He's been stretched out as a starter.
That's pretty much what he did when he was a starter.
That's pretty much what he was doing anyway.
Good for 3 innings, whether you need it or not.
I mean, I understand Cishek's going to have 88 appearances no matter what they do, and he's going to be meat by September. But, there's just other ways to do this.
Wow. And how about the fact that the comeback surprised Joe so much that he had to have Rowan Wick pitch to an extra batter because he didn't have
Kinsler up.
He didn't have Kinsler even in the bullpen. They showed him running down to the bullpen.
That's what you have to do in San Francisco.
I guess he wasn't running down to the bullpen. He was doing his little stretching and all that crap.
They don't have bullpens in San Francisco, so the relievers are in the dugout. So when you say, hey, get him up, they actually do have to run out of the dugout.
Well, isn't that park is the one where they've literally forgot the bullpens, right?
Well, they were talking about it today, and JD was saying that's become something of an urban myth.
Oh.
But I believe it because if you look at it, it's like no, they just forgot. You wouldn't build the bullpens like that and not have anywhere for the relievers to sit. So they clearly forgot.
What they really missed out, and maybe they could still do it. They should put the bullpens on a little island.
Yeah.
And then instead of coming first you take a little boat and then you get the bullpen car right. And then it drives through the wall. I mean, that would be the coolest entrance.
I mean, probably what they're going to do is get rid of that free viewing area under the fence there and make that bullpens or whatever. Or they'll just leave it like this. I mean,
they'll leave it like that. The only reason
it's the best park in the country, so they'll just leave it alone.
I mean, the Cubs can tell you that they move the bullpens because it's dangerous.
Right.
And we all know it's bullshit because they immediately put seats in there and charged the shitload from. That's why they moved them.
And they still haven't put screens up. Yeah.
Oh, God forbid. Because there were Sox fans who were complaining that they couldn't see through the screen.
Oh my God.
It's like, really? You have binocular vision, right? You should be able to see past it. Let's give that a shot.
It's transparent, in fact.
Yeah. So they didn't put a tarp up. They put a screen up.
You should
be able to see through it.
It is rare that hockey fans get to laugh at people, but all those complaining about screens, like hockey fans find this hilarious because we've had this for over 20 years now, and we're following a little black puck that's the same color as the screen, and we can do it. So a white baseball should probably show up okay.
You would think. How long did it take to get used to the screen?
Period.
Yeah, I would think.
Maybe less. I mean, if you first notice it, and you'd have to adjust a little bit, but yeah, then after like the second period, you're like, okay, this is fine. Whatever. I can't believe it took this long. But anyway, so yeah, I'm still very, very scared about the bullpen. Although I guess that depends on what visions I have for this team. I think they can win. I think they could win the division as set now. I wouldn't try it, but I think they could.
Yeah, and
but there are just two relievers out there, and Kinsler and Kimbrel, that I fully trust, and I'm not even sure I can say that fully about Kimbrel. I mean, he gets the outs now, but they're not dominating. And that's it. Like Cishek, his arm's going to fall off. His ERA is a government conspiracy. We don't know what Pedro Strop is now. I refuse to believe that like he's just past it. Like he's been good for 6 seasons and now he's done. No, I don't.
My guess is that he still has some sort of hamstring injury.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's true.
And he's throwing more arm than leg, and it's cost him a couple of miles an hour. And a pitch that didn't typically get hit is getting hit.
You'll never convince me Kyle Ryan's good, even though he has been good. I'll never say the words.
No, he scares me every time he comes in.
Right. So there's just not a lot out there. And I think that's got to everyone's Castellanos, chubby. But, if they have to make a choice,
Well, Joe was asked this very question, was if you could only fix the offense or the bullpen, which would you do? And he wanted a bat.
Joe's not the GM, so.
Well, I'm just saying that's what he.
No, I saw the quote.
But Joe is probably sure that he can work his bullpen brilliance.
Right, his management will.
Or maybe they'll bring up Dwayne Underwood Jr. and that'll fix the bullpen.
Oh yeah, that'll fix.
Somebody tweeted out his bullpen stats at Iowa, and I was supposed to be impressed.
I know.
Guys are in AAA for a reason.
To me though, at the trade deadline, like you can get a reliever for anything. Like, what does Aaron Bummer really cost in a trade? Some single A lottery ticket, right? Not giving up anything real.
You would think. I mean, given that how inconsistent relievers are from one year to the next. Right. If you have a middle reliever who's having a good year, and you're not in it, you should trade him.
Oh, immediately. And I hope the Giants don't sell because I think that would be hilarious. I think their GM's too smart for that, but.
Yeah, he was probably actively rooting for the Cubs to score.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
He's like, for God's sakes, it worked out fine. Bumgarner had a good start.
Right,
now we need to lose.
All he needs is 3 straight losses. He needs them to lose the next 2 games, and then he's like, okay, does everybody see what's going on here?
Yeah, I mean their offense is being fueled by Yaz's freaking grandson, who's a 29-year-old non-prospect, and whoever that Dickerson guy is that missed 2 full seasons. And
I mean, the list of
pop up 400 feet for a home run.
The list of janitors they have who are filling out that lineup because Posey and Crawford are dead. It's truly impressive. I mean, that's what happens, right? You win your 3 World Series. God bless them. But you have to keep that team together, and then eventually everyone just fries out. I mean,
well, and they're really only. I mean, even bad teams will have a good run during a season. Now, This is longer than normal, but it's not that abnormal. But they're doing it at a time when there's so many mediocre teams in the National League that in a typical season, getting to 500 in almost the end of July doesn't get you that close to the wild card. But
in the American League, it wouldn't matter.
No, this year it tucks you right up behind the leader, and all of a sudden your fans are like, "You can't sell. We're going to the playoffs." And it's like, you know damn well if they don't, that starting August 1st, they're going to lose 12 out of 15.
Right, and that'll be that.
Now they can't even sneak guys through waivers to trade them because that's not an option anymore.
That's not an option anymore. So. Adjust the sights here. A little more comfortable. So, yeah. Well, anyway, that's my first concern. You wanted to talk about Ian Happ.
Well, I just wondered
about
why,
Addison Russell.
Even if they're going to trade him, I don't know why he hasn't come back up yet.
I do.
Because we have to give those at bats to Albert, who's officially the worst offensive player in the National League right now.
He hasn't been up yet because 2.5 weeks does not merit a call up. Anyone can get hot for 2.5 weeks. I don't know that 2.5 weeks outdoes the 3 months, but he's been bad.
But did you not realize he leads the Pacific Coast League in walks? Come on.
That's wonderful.
That should warrant you a call up on its own, even if he didn't have a hit. 64 walks in the Pacific Coast League. That's a ticket to the majors.
Now, I understand. Like right now, he would probably be a better hitter.
Well, here's the thing. He's got options. Albert has options.
Mm-hmm.
Swap him for a week. You can always swap him back. It's not going to hurt you because Albert's not going to hit. I mean, he hit a home run today. That was nice.
Right.
That means he won't hit another one now for a month.
Well, here's the thing. Albert is giving you
or swap him out. Well, actually, don't even swap him out for Albert. Albert can stay because he can come in late if you have a lead and play center field. Daniel Descalso either needs to pretend he's hurt or just go away.
Or have someone pretend for him that he's hurt.
Yes.
Well, here's in some ways there was the same story with Addison Russell, but I'm never going to defend Addison Russell or apologize for him. So if he's shipped off to Iowa, that's fine. I also think Addison shipping to Iowa has little to do with his actual performance, but we'll get to that. Well, Albert still gives you plus defense in center. Not great defense, but plus defense. He's not He's not Kevin Kiermaier out there.
No, because he's slow.
Because he's slow, but his instincts are great, so he does get.
He does make up for. He makes a lot more plays than he has a right to, given his
athleticism.
But he doesn't make enough.
But even at that level, I don't think Happ at the plate is going to be as much as Almora's defense, and we know his defense won't be either.
I just want to see it for a week.
And you're going to.
I don't know what I don't know what there is to lose. I don't know why it hasn't happened.
Well, I think you're going to see it after the deadline, but they have sort of. I mean, I don't think they thought it would take Ian Happ 3 fucking months.
No, I know they didn't because he's had done this all. To your point, he's gotten hot for 2 weeks,
right,
and bad for 2 weeks, terrible. Hot for 2 weeks, terrible for 2 weeks. And so just about the time you're like, oh, he's figured it out. Then he goes in this prolonged slump.
Right.
And maybe they're like, well, he's hot right now, which means
we have to see it
as soon as we bring him up, he's going to slump. Maybe this is what they should do. When he slumps, they should bring him up because he's about to get hot. It's foolproof.
But so now, because of Happ's slow development, or however you want to term it, now they're backed up against the trade deadline and trying to figure out, well, are we moving him? Are we not? Are we getting another bat that's going to keep him in Iowa all season until September 1st? Because, there's not enough time to find out if he's the answer or not. There just isn't. You can't find that out in 5 ball games.
No. If they think they need to trade for a bat, whether they bring him up or not, they still need to trade for the bat.
Mm-hmm.
I would bring him up.
He might be part of the trade.
I would also bring him up. Yes, unless you trade him, I would also bring him up.
Right.
Because that bench is so bad. I would rather have him on it, even if he's still trying to figure it out. It's not like he had 100 and some games in Iowa for his development. You're not going to cost him any development if you bring him up and only play him a couple times a week.
But if he's part of the trade discussions and you bring him up before the trade and he goes 0 for 15 with 10 strikeouts and 5 walks, is the other team going to say, hey, wait a minute, you know what? This guy sucks.
But what if he goes 10 for 15 with 4 home runs and you end up trading him for Mike Trout?
Right. What if he ends up just being Mike Trout?
I mean, you think, well, that would be the Cup thing. Look at how good he is.
Right.
We're turning down all trade offers for Ian Happ.
And
then he goes right back to being.
I've never been a big Happ fan. I thought 2017 was an illusion, but looking at his stats, even last year, as awful as his second half was, he still ended up an above-average offensive player.
Yeah, you have to ride the wave with it.
Yeah, but I mean, he looked awful.
He was lost for long stretches last year. Like any pitch above his navel.
Right.
He couldn't get through.
Well, it's
kind of like David Bodie.
Kind of like David Bodie.
So him and Bodie can commiserate. They can just sit
they
there.
They can figure it out together.
Why is that a strike? Because it's at your waist. That's why it's a strike.
Okay, so shifting to Russell.
Yeah, I have a question. Do you think they actually do you think they just made him hang around? And they're like, okay, when we fly over Des Moines, we're just going to push you out because we don't want to. We don't want to have to pay.
We don't actually have to pay for the flight.
Got a plane chartered.
Right.
Why should we have to buy you a ticket? Actually, it doesn't work because he had to go to San Antonio because that's where
that's where they are.
You
actually looked that up?
Well, because somebody on Twitter asked me if somebody on Twitter actually posted possible flights to Des Moines. I didn't know you can fly. Well, no, I guess I looked at it and thought, wow, you can fly nonstop from Des Moines. You can't. You go to Phoenix.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
So maybe they just fly him to Phoenix and he has to drive to San Antonio.
There's a Phoenix to Des Moines flight?
Apparently. Well, Iowans, they love to go to.
That must be a popular route.
They love to vacation and.
Well, so looking it up today, and I want to make clear to all our listeners, I am not trying to defend the scumbag or in any way, but if you look at the numbers, Russell has been a far superior offensive player than Almora.
Oh yeah, he was of the three losers on your bench. He was the most productive of the three, and he's the one that got shipped out.
But it was still below average.
Yeah,
but with his defense, which people focus on the errors.
Well, that game Saturday, that was
one
for the ages. No, I wonder very much if he reacted afterwards in a way where they went, you know what? Fuck this guy. We debased ourselves to keep him around. And I don't know this for sure, but I have a feeling something happened afterwards. The way he handled the bad game made them go, all right. It's he's first one out.
It's how he's handled every setback.
Yeah.
And I agree with you that he probably either he didn't care that he played.
And that's probably most likely. He didn't do anything.
Right.
He didn't throw a fit. He just
he didn't notice that he played perhaps the worst game by any individual player this season. And then you back that up with your fifth year in the league, like, well, I don't really know the signs or pay attention or
I gotta see where the field. I pay more attention to this.
See, to me, not even knowing where the fielders are when you're on base. He's talking about basic stuff. Yes. And, this comes after a week that he doubled down, 2 weeks after he doubled down on his throw to home in Pittsburgh when it was clear that was the wrong decision. And it would cost you nothing to say, hey, in the heat of the moment, I made a rash play. I thought I could get him.
That one. I don't know what happens when they meet on the mound to position the deep, but they did right before that. They all went out and they put him and Javi playing halfway.
Right.
Which basically means unless you're charging in for the ball,
unless you're going to first. At you.
And not only that, but then he didn't throw it right away. He hesitated, and then he still threw home.
And then he doubled down on it.
How are you the dumbest person?
So not only does he have no instincts, he doesn't want any instincts. Yeah. This reminds me of a story. My brother's first job ever was he was helping the guy who delivered groceries from our local grocery store where I grew up. Wonderful man named Cleon. Big, boisterous man named Cleon. You could hear him from down the block. And we went to visit my brother at work one day outside in the parking lot where they would load the groceries. Cleon's just giving it to him. And he says to my brother, most people want to know stuff. You ain't even suspicious. And that's Addison Russell.
Yeah, that's great.
When it comes to baseball, it comes to life. He hasn't taken responsibility for anything.
No, that's clear.
So, yeah, I would think there's definitely an element of the front office. Look, we have tried to back up this guy. We have tried to provide him a platform to turn things around on the field and off. And what is obvious is he's just not going to take it. He's not going to take the road. So he can go rot in Iowa. And I'd actually be surprised. Well, I guess he has to be back up in September. They're not going to send him home. They should, but they're not gonna.
Yeah.
But I would be surprised if he's here before September 1st, unless there's an injury catastrophe.
Because I can't imagine he's tradable.
No. So. But as we've talked about this earlier, if you're actually interested in his rehabilitation, you can't.
That's right. You wouldn't trade him anyway because you
want to be here so you can monitor.
About why you kept him was because you were gonna develop the whole man, the athlete,
grow the man. We grow the man, just like what was his name? The goofus who coached the Bears.
Oh, Mark Trestman?
Yeah, he grows the man. They grow the man at Hallis Hall.
That was quite a guy. He's an XFL coach now. I'm sure that's going to go well.
Yeah, that's going to last. I would almost bet on the XFL actually playing a game more than I would Addison Russell playing a game for the Cubs again. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it was a ruse. I mean, there was more to it than they said. But
I take Theo at his word.
Theo knows how to play the press.
Right.
But he's not an outright liar.
No.
He doesn't work for the Hawks.
I think that the easy thing for them to do would have simply been to cut him.
Right.
And I think they felt like they wanted to go another step. They were going to give him a chance, and he could still get himself cut, and maybe he will. But they were at least going to try.
Well, you could see him acting up in Iowa, doing something in Iowa.
Yeah.
Not hustling, not paying attention, missing a sign, yelling.
He could go to the Iowa State Fair and destroy a butter sculpture.
Right.
I mean, there's all kinds of things he could get in trouble.
There's lots of things that could happen where that's going to be like, okay, you're not even working with us here. So
maybe it's a test. Maybe it was all along.
I think
we're going to send him back, and we're going to see how he reacts, and then we'll know if we've got something. And we're going to have to play David Bodie at shortstop if Javi twists his ankle.
Well, they never seemed inclined to give Javi a day off when Addison was here. So
no, it's only if Javi hurts himself that you have to worry about it.
Which is probably why they'll never cut Addison this season.
You got Victor. I think he could do it.
Yeah.
He could play short.
I know Anthony Rizzo would volunteer. Hell, they could. Well, if he wasn't hurt now, they'd probably try Bryant at short for a game.
So, how'd you like the double whammy today of Rizzo getting thrown out for arguing a pitch, not knowing he got thrown out, and then Chris Bryant also leaving at the exact same time, which sent beat writers into a tizzy as to what just happened. Who are these people on the field?
In for a penny, in for a pound. If you're going to do it, you might as well do it at once.
They should have just taken Javi out too, just to.
It's funny because I saw Rizzo strike out and he was yelling off into the distance. And I'm you can't really yell like that, but he's not really yelling at the ump, so maybe he gets away with it. And then I went up to go to the bathroom.
Jordan Baker's a dick.
They're all dicks. Yeah, and I come back and no more Rizzo.
And then they didn't notice right away that there was no more Bryant.
Yeah, took
a few pitches. Wait a minute, that's not Chris Bryant.
Right.
Joe, he gave an update after the game about he said it's not. He didn't just do one thing and hurt it. It's cumulative.
Oh, that's good. That's more encouraging.
Joe, that seems worse.
Yeah, that seems bad. But I mean, as I wrote today, how bad could it be considering the series he had?
Well, that was the other thing Joe tried to assuage people's concerns by saying he hurt his knee before the homer. So
good.
See if he hit a homer, he'll be fine. He'll be in the lineup Friday, and he probably will. I mean,
well, they're going to need him to. That's officially dun a big series.
Yeah, it ought to be. Somebody's got to win.
And Carl Edwards is in the
Brewers and Cubs play. Somebody has to actually win.
See, people complain about the offense last year. To me, the most infuriating part of last year was that Labor Day game where Rizzo homered off Hader. Yep. Because that happens, you're like, there it is. That's the signature moment of this season.
That was gonna put the Brewers away.
Right. Okay. They're still not gonna beat the Dodgers, but that when we look back at this season in October, we're gonna say, there it is. Yep. That's the moment. And then Carl Edwards goes off to the zoo, doesn't want to throw it anywhere near the plate, and that's it.
Yep. Which is why when Carl got sent away on Sunday, I guess. Well,
there's another guy. Is he ever going to pitch?
I really enjoyed it. I thought, good. I'm so beyond concerned with Carl. I gave up on him a long time ago.
Is he ever going to throw an important inning for the Cubs again? He'll come up in September so they'll have the 15-man bullpen.
Joe will still. I can still see Joe. Give him another shot. We'll bring him in and watch him give up a 1,100-foot home run to Paul Goldschmidt. I mean, I really thought he looked from the side. I thought he really looked good.
Yeah.
Well, stop watching pitches from the side then, because everybody looks good from the side.
Get on the video monitor.
Brad Brock stuff always looks good to Joe.
Right.
I don't know why he got hit so hard. Really, stuff really looks good. Well, the stuff that actually makes it to the catcher, maybe, but a lot of it doesn't. Well, it just gets clubbed.
here we are.
At least he stopped walking everybody. That's
so all the names we've talked about here. And like you can sit here and say, and Theo and Jed will never buy a drink in this town again because of 2016. But since the end of the 2016 season, who has come through this system that has really added to it?
Nobody. And to the point where they got so excited about 30 good games out of David Bodie that they gave him a 5-year contract when they were 4 years away from even having to pay him more than the minimum. I'll never understand that. That was just like
they've gotten really. I mean, they got a good season out of Ian Happ, but that's sort of been nullified.
Well, there's a trend, which is other than Chris Bryant,
right? Arguably,
Javi spent the requisite amount of time in the minors.
Javi Baez is not their pick,
right? It's a Hendry guy, but they inherited him. They at least had a hand in his development. They didn't rush him to the big leagues, mostly because they were at a point in the rebuild where it didn't make any sense to.
Right.
The other guys, they bring them up, they're amazing, and then they fall off a cliff.
Well,
Schwarber has crawled back up to an acceptable
Schwarber's
level.
At least league average. I would argue Edison Russell was never amazing. He was amazing defensively. He was solid defensively. People don't want to admit that.
Well, they brought him up too early.
Brought him up way too early.
Brought him up to the point where they weren't ready to play him at short yet, so they played him at second for no apparent reason.
And they're like, hey, we're going to play him at short. And they watched Starlin Castro binge, so they had to play him at second.
Yep.
But yeah, Albert Almora, they brought him up.
Albert spent a lot of time in the minors. Albert never proved he could hit. Though.
No, and
they still brought him up.
Well, we bring him up because, hey, we need a September glove or whatever. And it's fine. Okay, then he needs to start the next season in AAA, and we got to wait till he hits. And they never did that because Dexter Fowler left, and they didn't really have a plan for that.
I mean, they blindly – I mean, think about how lucky they got that nobody wanted Dexter in the 2016 offseason until the Orioles did. And Dexter's like, I don't want to go to the Orioles.
I don't want to go there.
Can I come back for a year? And they said, okay.
Yeah. I mean, things sort of fell in their lap. So, I mean, this is what I spend far too much time thinking about. But when I look at the Cubs and watching them get passed by the Dodgers, passed by the Astros, now passed by the Yankees, these are the teams you're supposed to be dancing with.
Right. And they're being passed by the Braves as we speak.
They are currently being passed by the Braves, though not yet.
No, but if you're looking at the trend,
yeah, I mean, you have to
keep going the wrong way.
And okay, they stripped their system more than these other teams have had to. Like the Chapman trade and the Quintana trade, which we've gone over and over, and I'm not going to do it again. Whereas, the Astros didn't give up really anything for Verlander, right?
No. See, you could argue that the Cubs fucked that up.
You could.
Because they were negotiating up until the deadline. They couldn't work it out. And then all they had to do was claim him on waivers.
Right.
And they didn't do it. And he cleared waivers.
Right.
It's not like the Astros didn't claim him. He cleared waivers.
Right.
And then they worked out a trade. If the Cubs really wanted him, they could have claimed him. And if they still couldn't work it out, then they could have just – because their plan apparently was to talk the Astros again in the offseason about him. So why didn't they claim him? They were already willing to take his contract on.
Right.
It never made any sense to me. I mean, yes, Theo and Jed are smart guys, and I'm sure people fuck lots. Everybody screws stuff up. But it's like, guys, at some point, you got to stop screwing stuff up.
Well, the other thing is the only trade the Astros have made is for Garrett Cole, and they gave up some guys for him, but not top of the line. Joe Musgrove really do much for you.
Well, he's starting tomorrow against the Cardinals.
Great.
So he's got to do one thing.
So they've not, the Dodgers, okay, they traded a couple guys for Manny Machado, but not a lot. I mean, they haven't made the big splashy trade. Okay, these teams weren't trying to end 108 years, so they get something of a pass for that. The Yankees were still collecting prospects up until 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So they haven't had to do that.
Well, I mean, the Chapman trade you make that trade 100 times. Because it was you had a really good team with one glaring weakness.
Right.
And that was a dude you could bring in, and as a closer, you could do exactly what Joe did, which was pitch him all the frickin' time.
Right.
So he could impact a lot of games. So that one made perfect sense. The Quintana trade they had to make because they hadn't developed any pitching. That's been the problem they've had this whole time.
Or signed relatively priced pitching.
Right. They've had to go find pitching.
right?
Because they can't develop any of their own.
They got 1 year out of Lackey, but then had to live with the second one. And so I'm not sitting here saying, you know what, Theo and Jed should be fired or should have to pitch for their jobs, but they're very good at deflecting blame. Like they couldn't wait to pin it on Chili Davis and Joe Madden.
Yep.
But they have some things to answer for.
Oh, I mean, the roster they've handed Joe is, it's not embarrassing, but the bottom of the roster and the bottom of the bullpen is awful.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't Joe mismanaging a really good team. Half of his team is really good.
Right.
The other half of it is bad. There's very little in between.
Yeah, they don't have, if it were hockey, they don't have any second or third liners.
Yeah. They've
got top liners and they've got fourth liners, and that's it.
Yeah.
And the rotation's very good, when it's healthy. I would argue the rotation's very good.
Yes.
But yeah, and no one seems to hold their feet to the fire because, well, the ownership didn't give them a budget. And that's fair, but you could be doing better with the money you're spending than this.
Yeah.
And now they're going to have to give up something. They have to strip the system more, even if it's out of the bottom of the system, to fix the holes that they haven't been able to fix for a couple of years.
Yeah.
You should be producing, if you're not producing starters, that's hard to do. Okay, your system has to come up with one or two jamokes every year who just show up, throw 97, blow their arm out, and then you bring up the next one.
I think they win the division by 4 or 5 games if they add a league average center fielder, a league average second baseman, and at least one league average bullpen arm. You ought to have that yourself. You shouldn't have to go out in July and add just replacement level players. You should have replacement level players for those spots, and they don't for various reasons.
The thing is, if you count his defense, Addison Russell has been league average.
Yeah, but that defense is.
But the defense
some plays are great, and some are. And
the defense is going away because he's just stopped caring.
Yes, and he nearly breaks Rizzo's hand on a routine grounder because he fires the ball up the line.
I wonder if he's
just pissed.
I don't want to spend any more time talking about it, but I wonder if he's still in a pout because Javi Baez took his job.
Well, I would think that. But then, if he is, and it's very possible that he is,
and remember,
then he really does need to go away because this is a franchise that held their nose for him and made a huge exception. And if he can't make it through one season without being, well, I'm glad they did that, but how come I can't be the shortstop?
Right.
It's like, okay, then go away.
Then you're a penis.
Yes. I think he probably is.
He qualifies. So yeah, but like you said, yes, even if we give him that, okay, yeah, you have one position, you just needed to find a league average guy, and you need 2 bullpen arms out of your system. You should be able to find. You should be able to produce that. That just can't be that hard. And they tell us, well, coming out of spring training, we have the deepest set of arms we've ever had. Okay, then how come none of them pitch? I feel like I'm Brad Pitt in Moneyball. If he's a good hitter, how come he doesn't hit good?
Well, and then the shuttle too from Iowa has been nonsensical at times. Bring a guy up for a day, send him back. I mean, but with no real plan. Rowan Wick.
Who actually looks good?
Yes, they kept bringing him up and either not using him or they'd use him once and send him away. It's like, why don't we give this guy a week?
Give this guy 2 weeks. Give him 5 outings and just see.
Yes.
What are you holding on to?
If he's bad, then he's proven it and you know it.
Right.
If he's good, then you can use him.
Yeah, they go like, oh, we got to bring fucking Tim Collins up. No, you don't. I don't need any more Tim Collins in my life.
The only thing I can think is that maybe Greyhound has some frequent rider program. And a bunch of the guys in Iowa signed up for it.
Right.
And so they're perfectly happy to just, that's another 600 miles on my thing.
I mean, I don't want to attach any emotional value to Rowan Wick. But it's a guy they bring up. And
it's just an example of a guy who is almost unhittable in Iowa, which, that's not worth much.
Right.
But it's not like he's come up and ever been bad. He comes up and he does fine. And last night he looked really good. Okay, but then he's just gone. It's like, wait a minute, where's that guy? Or did he send him back?
I'm partial to this guy, so this probably doesn't work. But my guy, Dylan Maples.
Yeah, well, it doesn't make any sense they haven't given him an extended run either.
It's the same thing with Chatwood. and this is where Joe Sheehan would talk about Alberto Moore this way, refusing to acknowledge that he sucks, is that you have a guy who's got control problems. You're not going to help those control problems by him thinking his entire Major League future hinges on one outing.
Yeah, I was just going to make that point. I mean,
call him up and say, look, dude, you're here for 2 weeks. You're going to be used 4 or 5 times, once or twice, and maybe a big situation. Yep. You're here for a little bit. Show us what you can do. You're not going to be demoted after one bad outing. And just see what happens, because it's not like he's replacing anyone who's doing any better. But he's got the best stuff.
They also built a bullpen in the offseason very haphazardly. They were going through the reject bin and picking out whatever they could afford. They built one that only had one guy with options.
Right.
Carl. So they couldn't do like every other team, like the Dodgers are experts at it.
Right.
They built this bullpen where they just shuttle guys. You're up for 4 or 5 days. We use you a couple of times. We send you back to Albuquerque.
Right.
You get your 10 days down there because you have to stay 10 days, and then you come back, and the players get used to that, and you always have fresh arms in the bullpen. Well, the Cubs couldn't do it because they'd have to waive guys, although, honestly, given the guys down there, that would have been fine. They couldn't. They literally couldn't make it work. And it's like, this is 2019. You're supposed to take advantage of this, and
this isn't that hard.
They painted themselves into a corner and couldn't do it.
All right. Well, we've been negative now for 45 minutes. We should be positive about something for 5, right?
Well, they are still in first place.
They are still in first place by half a game thanks to the Pirates. They have a chance to put a dent in their main competitors. Cole Hamels will be back. John Lester will be rested, if not sick.
Yeah, I wonder what if he got a little bad? He didn't eat sushi.
John Lester is not eating sushi. John Lester probably
He ate a raw steak.
John Lester hates every minute he has to spend in San Francisco.
Yeah,
he hates.
Well, I'm sure he loved the trade to Oakland then.
Oakland's more his speed, I would think.
Yeah, most guys when they get traded to Oakland, they live in San Francisco.
Yeah, that's true.
John is a guy. If he got traded to the Giants, he would live in Oakland, and then
he'd go the other way. Yeah, he'd reverse commute. Well, actually, no, that's the commute most people do because no one can afford to live in San Francisco. Yeah. I mean, I want to be clear. I think this team is going to win the division, and the way it's shaping up, I think they'll beat the Braves in the first round. Like I expect this team to be in the NLCS. Like I still do, because they're going to pick up a couple arms, and and I think they'll get creative to how they use their pen down the stretch, and they'll hit enough. Let's make that clear.
Can we? Somebody needs to chart this though.
Okay.
It just feels like Tommy Hotovy comes out to the mound,
and the guy gives up a home.
And the very next pitch gets hit 400 feet.
It's always a great meeting.
It happened last night.
Yep.
It's like, what are you telling them?
Yeah, it seems to happen a lot.
Are you telling them the pitches you would have thrown because you need to go opposite for that?
Also, but that also might speak to the talentless nature of the bullpen. We're like, hey, here's how I throw it, and they just can't execute it.
Or the talentless nature of the bullpen. His appearance is merely delaying the home run by a minute and a half.
The home run would have happened anyway.
It was about to happen, and Tommy gave everybody a chance to rest for a minute before.
Or duck. Or put on a helmet. Here are the Pirates putting on a useless rally. You can score on the Pirates haven't had a problem scoring against this Cardinals team.
They had the ultimate useless rally the other night when
they got someone thrown out at home.
Yeah, Goldschmidt hit a grand slam on the top of the 10th.
Right.
And then the Pirates rallied back and got within a run with nobody out. And then Jose Martinez threw a guy out at home plate. The worst defensive player in the world.
I mean,
they're doing it without Yadi.
That's
probably why they're winning, because Yadi has been terrible this year, which is
this is the problem. You can't lose this division, either one of those teams.
No, no, it's completely unacceptable.
It would be unacceptable to lose it to either of these teams that are just not good.
No, and the scary part about it is this is the kind of Cardinal team that gets in the playoffs and somehow wins the World Series.
No,
a complete shit team. They did it the last 2 times. They had awful teams.
But that's a La Russa trick. Schilt's not.
No,
capable of that
guy is. He always looks like he just missed the bus.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, I don't think he's doing that. Yeah, you can't.
That's true.
You can't lose. I'm sorry. Like last year's Brewers team, okay, they had the MVP. They actually had some guys who could start games. The bullpen was going nuts. Jesus Aguilar was hitting. Like that team won 95 games. You're like, okay, and they ended up 96 games. Like, all right, a weird anomaly, but fine. These Brewers and these Cardinals, like, neither one of these teams is going to win more than 88 games, right?
No, they're bad. The Brewers can't pitch at all.
So if you can get to 90 wins, I mean, it's just going to take like 90 wins. You're there. And there's no excuse for this team, the way it's been built and the people they have in charge and at the top end of the roster, like for this team to win less than 90 games would almost be a fireable offense. And like, okay, yeah, the Dodgers won 91 games last year, but like they played with their head up their ass all season. And by like every other metric, they should have won like 104. So, yeah, this team cannot win less than 90 games. Otherwise, all their speeches will actually have to come true. Someone's got to be held accountable.
What if they miss the playoffs and Ricketts fires Theo?
Well, he's not going to fire Theo.
No, Theo actually.
Theo can fire Ricketts.
Can fire Ricketts. That's what I was going to say.
Theo can fire Ricketts. They'll fire Madden. I mean, they've been experts at making.
Well, they don't have to fire him. They can do the dusty.
They can let him walk.
Your contract is.
And they'll let all his coaches go. They're experts at making sure that no one ever turns a curious eye to them. Because, everyone's like, oh, well, they're pinning it on Joe and the culture and the hitting coach.
Yeah. And this is clearly a season where the deficiencies have been with the talent.
Right.
Not with the way it's
been and the talent they've grown.
Organized.
Yeah.
It's an indictment of their
That's 2 first-round
regime.
Picks. 3 first-round picks in Russell, although he's not their first-round pick. That's 3 first-round picks you're getting nothing out of. One's not even on the team. And another one in Schwarber who's been league average. And we're Kyle Schwarber's biggest fans.
We are. I think we're literally his biggest fans.
Yes. But he needs a binge. He needs to start hitting like it's 2015 again.
Well, he hit homers in 3 consecutive days and then didn't get a start for 3 more.
Right. Well, they were facing
one
lefties.
was a planned day of rest, and then 2 more
were facing lefties.
It's like, why?
Well, you know what? Put him out there against lefties. I'm tired of this.
Well, when the alternate is
Bodie.
Albert, who's literally been worse.
Right.
Kyle's been bad against lefties. Albert's been worse.
Just send him up there, tell him to keep the front shoulder in, think left field, and let's go.
Yeah, it's a good time for him to learn how to hit him.
Right.
Right in the middle of the pennant race.
What the fuck?
Got to learn it sometime, Kyle.
He's got to learn how to hit clutch in clutch situations, and he's got to learn how to lefties. So why not throw him in the deep end? Yeah, I mean they're a Schwarber binge away from kind of opening up here because you know what you're getting from Rizzo, you know what you're getting from Bryant, assuming he's healthy. So that's all they need. You know what you're getting from Baez. So yeah, it's like
well, you got Wilson back.
You got Wilson back. So if you get a month of August from Schwarber where he has like a 950 OPS, you're fine. It'll be fine. But we're still waiting for that.
Yeah. But I still think they need another. They have to get another outfielder. Somebody.
Well, Castellanos stands out there. I don't know if he's an outfielder.
Yeah. Well, that'll be quite the defensive outfield because you'll have Schwarber in left, who's fine, but he's nobody's idea of a Gold Glove. But he's made himself a perfectly competent left fielder. Then you got Hayward out of position in center, where he's fine, but he's not.
He's barely fine, and Castellanos can't do anything.
Right, and then you've got a guy in right who can't catch anything.
To be fair, playing well, they say right field in Wrigley's the toughest one to play, but it's a lot less space to cover than Comerica. So maybe that helps him a little.
Yeah, maybe he'll actually be great.
No, he won't be great. He'll hit.
All he needed was a slightly smaller right field, and he turned into a Gold Glover overnight.
He'll hit.
It could happen.
Yeah, and he's not Castellanos. Like you're not gonna have to give up anything real for Nick Castellanos, are you?
No, because it sounds like the Cubs are the only team that wants him.
So there you go.
Probably for that reason.
I mean, you shouldn't have to give up any more.
Help.
You shouldn't have to give up any more for Yasiel Puig. So
if you, I'd like to have Puig just to see the inevitable Puig and Pedro all of a sudden becoming best friends for 2 months.
Clearly. He's stupid as fuck. Everyone knows
Which was
that.
great. One of the great quotes of all time. Because first he just said he was stupid.
Right.
Then he doubled down and said, everybody knows he's stupid. He's stupid as fuck.
He's stupid as fuck. I'll never get angry.
Get them all. There's plenty of spots on the roster. Get Puig, get Castellanos, get Hunter Pence. What the hell? So get all the weirdos.
Are we back next week with our trade deadline special?
Yes, I think we should.
Okay. Can't wait. Can't wait, Bart Scott.
Will the Cubs still be in first place when we meet?
I think they will be.
I do too. I think
because this Cardinals bullshit can't last much longer. Like they do this every year.
They did it last year.
Where they come within hailing distance, or they get really close.
When they they went on almost the exact same run last year.
Right.
The Cubs and Brewers were both farther away, so people didn't notice it as much. But they got, I think, within like 2 games.
Right.
It got Schilt his contract extension.
And then they went.
And then as soon as he signed it, they went right in the shitter.
Right in the shitter.
So they should extend him again.
Yeah, that would do us all.
Good news, guys. Schilt got 3 more years. They're not going to win another game until September 12th.
Can't wait. Gonna be great.
All right, so we'll just do this again.
Yeah, maybe with someone else. Maybe someone else will actually join us. But when I'm here, no one else is. So I clear it out. And then when I can't be here, the other 2 show up. It's no coincidence.
Probably not.
All right. Always a pleasure, Andy.
Yeah, talk to you next week.
Indeed.